Howdy, boys and girls. Happy Halloween to everybody. Give everybody a minute to show up here, and hope everyone's doing well on this fine trick or treat. Probably need to shut down my sound so I can not hear myself talk in my own ears. That would be great. Glad you could make it. As always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber here to the Football Diehards YouTube channel. Appreciate you coming and showing up every week, those of you to do, and go through your questions. We've got a little news. We'll kind of run through a couple things as we're getting ready to await the crowds. Austin Eckler is one we'll be watching for overnight. Brandon Staley, the head coach, kind of downplayed the situation for him. It's a sore hip. We'll kind of see how that plays out. Something you'll need to watch. Late afternoon kickoff. Have your fallback plans ready. Dak Prescott, another one, Sunday night game. If you can, go out right now. Pick up Daniel Jones with a Monday night kickoff. That would be a nice pivot for you. Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, all set to play for the Browns, right? That's kind of a bit of a surprise to me anyway. The Monday Night Football, still don't know who Daniel Jones will be playing with, but it sounds like they'll cobble it together. And if they don't, Daniel Jones will do it all by himself, including catching all the fantastic passes, Odell Beckham style. All right, so we've got the questions are starting to roll in, so there will be no holding anyone back. So let's get going on this. Let's see. One half PPR. Pick one, please. Judy, Landry, or Chenault. Well, I'm going to make sure that Jerry Judy's playing. If he is, I'm going to play him. And that's something. It's a late afternoon kickoff. So you might have we should have an idea. Chenault would be a fallback option there because they're playing in Seattle. It's a late afternoon kickoff there as well. So I think you could use him as a fallback. It hasn't been great. So Laviska Chenault has switched to the X receiver with DJ Chark out. Nice article about it on the footballdiehards.com website if you're interested. And so the targets have not been as abundant for him. So I'd like to get Judy in there if he's going. In case you missed it, Judy did not practice yesterday, Friday. He's practiced all week, but he developed a little soreness in the ankle. It sounds like everything's on track, but you'll want to watch it just to make sure. Half-point PPR needs a running back, says JR1616, and a flex. Gaskin, Mitchell, and Cooks. Mitchell for sure. Oh, boy, that Buffalo defense is horrifying for Gaskin. He is going to have a role in the receiving game, and seems likely that, they're going to be playing from behind, right? The Bills' high-powered offense. So I'd probably lean Gaskins. In case you missed it, Davis Mills will get another start at quarterback for the Houston Texans. Tyrod Taylor not quite ready to come back yet. So here's the problem. The two games with Tyrod Taylor before he left, they scored 58 points, did the Houston Texans. Since then, they've scored 38 points in the 5 games since, so 39 points. And one of those touchdowns was a defensive touchdown. So hasn't been great. I could play Cooks, but I'd probably take a chance on Gaskin. Favorite Halloween candy, says Iron Eddie. I don't like the candy, but if you made me eat some, it would be something like with chocolate and peanuts or something. I like that kind of stuff if I'm going to eat candy. I don't like a lot of candy. I already have a sugar high. That's like natural. Brady or Hurts? This might depend on what you're after, right? So it's hard for me to bench Hurts right now, right? It's just been so damn consistent. 20 points a game. I can't remember. Go back to last year. I think Josh Allen was on a similar pace. I would lean Hurts over Brady. It's Detroit. It's a great matchup for him. The only concern for me for Hurts, and look, I play Brady too. It's a tougher matchup, but he's been like a top 5 quarterback for the last 6 weeks. So is Hurts. So I get it. It's why it's a tough decision. If you're playing it safe, Scott, I'd go Hurts, because it's been consistently high end, and the Detroit matchup's too good to pass up. I think over the long term, I'm a little worried about his job security because the Eagles aren't winning, and I don't know what's going on. He's not as good from a NFL perspective, it seems, as from a fantasy perspective. So there you have that. Hi, I'm Taryn. Struggling with Antonio Gibson as PPR running back too. Would I consider sitting him for Moss in a great matchup, or Carter as the last man standing in New York? So I'm a little keen on Michael Carter this week. If you read my DFS 3 and out column on the footballdiehards.com website, go there if you haven't. And if you're not a subscriber, go there and subscribe. You use the promo code Diehards to get 15% off. It's a great deal. Tons of great content every single week, including my DFS 3 and out column. This week is a dart toss column, so that should kind of tell you a special dart toss edition. And so, I mean, the targets were great. He is the last man standing. Mike White is going to check down a lot, I'm thinking. Are they going to be playing from as far behind as they were last week, where the Patriots were really giving up the short yardage stuff? So I thought it was a good high floor game for Michael Carter. So I could consider that. I'm probably still playing Antonio Gibson in this one. Wouldn't talk you out of Moss, though. I mean, I get what's going on with Gibson. And honestly, if I have two running backs I think are similar in a similar tier or similarly ranked, it's a pretty easy call to go away from the injured one. And he's going to be injured all year, people. No second doubts about it. So I have Moss kind of as a flex level play this week, even with a great matchup, mostly because he's splitting with Singletary to some degree, and also because Josh Allen's such a great scoring threat himself. But I wouldn't talk you out of Moss either. So probably would talk you out of Carter. I think he's a last-ditch play. Kelro, 58. Am I crazy to consider sitting Brady and stacking Bridgewater and Sutton this week? I'm reluctant to say anyone is crazy. I probably would not do that move, but I get it. So here's the thing we do as fantasy managers. We tell ourselves happy stories, and we are eager to convince ourselves things, of things, narratives that we're buying into. Bridgewater, though, has been good. I think he's got multiple touchdowns in, 5 games this year, and 3 in a row, right? So, there's something there. I love Sutton in this game. We'll see if Judy makes it back. I still love Sutton, even if Judy makes it back. So, not crazy would be the answer, Kelro. Not crazy. Because of the stack, though. It was like in a standalone world, there would be no way I'm doing this. Brady has been high-end productive every single week. So keep that in mind. Just not crazy. These are all your teams. Like right on Monday, I'm not going to be sitting there, staring at you in the mirror with yourself. You're going to be kicking yourself in the ass. I'm not going to be there to get kicked. Iron Eddie, full PPR, Herbert or Gainwell. I'm probably sticking. I like Herbert. I think he's been fine. I was pleasantly surprised with what he did against the Buccaneers last week, and it turns out the Bears can't do anything but run. We saw the Colts have great success running the football against the 49ers last week. To think the Bears can duplicate that is not totally insane, or at least put that effort in, because they can't throw. They can't protect their quarterback, right? Justin Fields has been sacked 22 times, more times than anyone in the NFL. It's because they don't have offensive tackles who can pass protect. They do have offensive tackles who can run block. Everyone can run block. I can run block almost. So that seems to be the direction this is taken. So I'm probably going to go with that and live with it. I think those are both fine options, though. Gainwell, here's the thing. I'm worried about Gainwell in that, look, it's a great matchup. But if when this game was over, if Boston Scott got all the carries and Gainwell had 5 or 6 targets and nothing else, it wouldn't be a total surprise, right? It would be surprising, but not a total surprise. And also, I keep hearing that Jordan Howard is getting a lot of first-team reps. And so you maybe want to watch that today. Go to the footballdiehards.com website at the end of the day and see if they promoted Jordan Howard to the active roster. Dave Zangaro, I think, from NBC Sports said he's been getting a lot of first-team reps. So maybe he's going to be carrying the football some and just further dilute. Not that he's going to come in and be a dominant force, but maybe he dilutes that a little bit. So that's why I'm splitting this hair. What I want is volume, right? That's what I'm chasing in fantasy football. It's easy, if you have a hunch, Gainwell's going to go off, I think he possibly could, right? Given the matchup, it's not crazy. The Detroit Lions are horrible against running backs. They're horrible at a lot of things, but stopping running backs, they're especially horrible at stopping and receiving running backs. So my only concern with Gainwell is what slice of the pie he gets. Might be a big-ass slice. Might be the most delectable slice of all. Also, might not be as much as we think. Herbert's slice, going to be big. All right, 1 point PPR flex, D. Smith or M. Carter. This is Wick. Oh, man. So I'm trying to dial back my confidence in Michael Carter. Again, something was mentioned earlier. He's the last man standing there, essentially, right? And Mike White is going to be starting at quarterback, and he's going to be checking down constantly, as he did last week. That was why he got the high floor play for Carter last week. So My problem with Devontae Smith is it's kind of been a little hit or miss, right? I think he's in a good spot, good matchup. Like everything about him. Just don't like the way Jalen Hurts has been playing from an NFL perspective. A lot of his value comes from his running ability. He's throwing the ball. Boy, I'm probably going to stick with Carter on this one and hope for the best. Jay Too Nice. Need help with his line. Need help with my line. Need 2 wide receivers. Okay, so Cortland Sutton, Marvin Jones, Chase Claypool, Jerry Jeudy. So I'm probably playing Sutton over Jeudy the first week back. I mean, it wouldn't vault you otherwise. And I'm playing Marvin Jones. Well, Chase Claypool has not been exciting, right? It's not been good yet. So I'll wait and see if it gets good. Sutton has been phenomenal, getting tons of targets. I think he'll continue to get them even with Jeudy back. And we'll see what happens with Jeudy as we go along. And Marvin Jones has been money, and it's a great matchup against Seattle. I need 2 running backs. Zeke. Why would you ask me that? Are you really going to sit Zeke? If I told you to sit Zeke, would you sit Zeke? Antonio Gibson, Hubbard, and E. Mitchell. I'd probably play them. I'd probably play Mitchell ahead of Gibson and Hubbard right now. But I think they're all reasonable plays. Gibson, I mean, again, if you have a bunch of running backs in the same tier, why play the hurt one? And also, yes, I'm playing Ezekiel Elliott. Thoughts on Bateman? Drop Robinson for him at this point. Don't need a wide receiver this week. Trying to stay ahead of the curve. I love Bateman. The role seems to be there. The Ravens are passing the ball more. And look, we're at the point now where if you want to move on from Allen Robinson, it's perfectly fine. So we get a fear of what do the kids call it? The FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? Where we think the minute we let go of something that we invested in, it's going to start returning on, giving us return on the investment. It might happen, but just the evidence to date shows us the Bears. And remember, this is a week-to-week game, and it evolves over the course of the season. What is today is not going to be at the end of the season. I use this example all the time, but it's a great example. Tom Brady last year through 10 games was the worst deep ball passer in the pro football. Couldn't complete a pass over 20 yards. You remember that? Can't do it. It's over. And by the end of the season, he was the best deep ball passer in the NFL. We see it with running backs all the time. We can, so I can see this offense evolving. What I can't see changing materially is the offensive line for the Chicago Bears, and they seem to be scheming and focusing their offense on protecting Justin Herbert to the degree they can. It's still, he's been sacked, as I mentioned before, 22 times. So they're not running deep routes, and that's probably Allen Robinson's strength, and it's just not working out. So if you want to move on from him, fine. I think Rashad Bateman's role is pretty good. I think the Ravens, you're going to count on them being run heavy, but they are passing the ball more, and they're making an effort to get it down the field. I like Bateman. So I think that was a tepid yes. All right, Iron Eddie, full PPR. Myers, Gibson, Osborne, Lavisco, or Elijah Moore. Probably playing Myers there, I think, is a safe play for me. I like Osborne. I like what he's doing, and I think maybe the coverages, Justin Jefferson will get the Trayvon Diggs treatment. Adam Thielen has good matchup, though, too, so probably not digging that deep. I like Osborne, what he's doing, but I don't think he's as high up the radar as Myers. I'd probably play Lavisca over him, too. I'd probably rank them Myers, Lavisca, Osborne, and Moore. And maybe Moore gets a little more run this week, with the injuries to Corey Davis, and that helps him out, but we'll see. I don't think the quarterback works in his favor. Andrea, hello. How are you? Happy Halloween. Darrell Henderson or Cortland Sutton, PPR. I'm not playing Darrell Henderson, right? So last week did not quite smash his matchup against the Lions. I can't see him missing out on 2 big, great matchups in a row. Houston matchup is great. I'd be hard-pressed. Love Sutton, but between those 2. First law of flexology, everybody. Play the feature back over the receiver. And only if it's a true feature back, though, right? I mean, there's so many NFL backs now that are like the starting back, but aren't necessarily the feature back for their team, or don't necessarily have a featured role. What I mean by featured role is the back who is going to get the bulk of his team's carries, or at least snaps. And Henderson's been that guy, right? We see a little Sony Michel, but we don't see like entire series. We don't see him taking over games at any point in time. So I'm all on board Darrell Henderson on this one. Look for a course correction against the Houston Texans. All right. Stafford or Herbert? Another great matchup, Scott. So you have all these close quarterback situations. So there's not a wrong answer, right? They're both top 10 quarterbacks. This is kind of a situation where, you're asking me, do you have the predictive ability to guess within, a top 10 tier, which guy is going to be better, right? Like, so I think the matchup obviously favors Stafford to me. So, but I also wonder if they're not going to run the ball more because of that matchup. So I'm probably going to lean Herbert. I would lean Herbert over. No, I'd probably lean Stafford. He's got more weapons. And he's got Cooper Kupp. So I'm going to lean Stafford there. But there is not a wrong answer, Scott. So you have won this one, I think. But yeah, the Patriots probably the tougher matchup. It's safe to say. Kelro, 58, half-point PPR. Sutton, Emmanuel Sanders, Claypool, or Hawkinson need two. Hawkinson, it's interesting, is finally off the injury report. He's kind of come on a little bit, had that lull in weeks 3 to 5. He came out gangbusters, started to pick up the pace a little bit. I think I'd give him a shot. Would like to give him a shot. I'd probably play him over Claypool. I'm probably playing Sutton and Hawkinson. Wouldn't talk you out of a Sutton-Sanders pairing. I think Claypool's got some work to do to sell me, to bring me over to his side, right? It's been hit or miss for him. All right, Iron Eddie, half-point PPR, Jacoby, Gaskin, Collins, or Penny. Well, I think you're running the obvious risk when you flirt with the Collins-Penny. I mean, you don't know, right? We're not going to know. So Collins is listed as questionable. It's a late afternoon kickoff. It's a great matchup. Would like to play the running back I know is going to do well. And my apologies to Alex Collins for thinking he couldn't run against the Steelers a couple of weeks ago. But it got tougher in a tough matchup last week. We saw some Rashad Penny. At some point, we're going to see more Penny. I don't know when that is. So I'm kind of avoiding that one. I'm probably leaning Gaskin here. I wouldn't talk you out of Jacoby Myers, though, for the floor. Gaskin, I'm hoping just for a game script kind of game where they're throwing the ball and he gets a ton of targets. But obviously, he's not, he's by no means, there you have it. He's not getting a featured role. He's a starting back without a featured role. So Rick Brusalis, flex, PPR, Tyler Johnson, Dan Arnold, or Brandon Ayuk. Boy, we've come to this, have we? Brandon Ayuk, what a disappointment. What a horrible season. What a season gone wrong. So if I was making the argument, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan both addressed the Brandon Ayuk thing this week and just basically are saying it's a sophomore slump. They have a lot of faith in him. They obviously spent a lot of draft capital to acquire him. They loved him. He made good on that last year. There was an evolution last year, right? So we didn't see a lot of Ayuk in the last 7 games. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. There were some other pieces missing, though. I mean, Deebo Samuel was out, George Kittle was out, but he's also playing with lousy quarterbacks. I'm so conflicted on this because I have really expected a breakout season, so I have to divorce my own emotions, which we should all do. I think Tyler Johnson, you're reaching a little low. Dan Arnold's gotten a ton of targets. I might go that direction in a matchup against Seattle, who is not very good at defending against the pass. So that'd probably be my lean, and hope for the best. Ayuk, I don't need to play the game that hasn't happened yet. I don't need to play the breakout game. That's something else we do as fantasy managers, right? We don't want to miss out on the breakout game. Look, sometimes you're going to miss out on it, right? If players just don't merit a spot in your lineup, their production doesn't merit a spot in your lineup. Right now, it's easy to say, I expect Brandon Ayuk to be great at some point. I do. I expect him to be really good at some point. I don't know when that point is, and I don't need to play the point when it happens, and keep playing, getting no score. So I'll probably play Dan Arnold and hope for the best in this one. I think Tyler Johnson's just a little bit of a reach, although the coverages might work in his favor. I think the likely return of Gronk would be a concern for me. All right, let's see. And that's the next question. I'm Taryn. Do you think Gronk will really hit the field this week? I kind of do. Again, don't know that I have to play that if he does. If I have better options, Uzoma, Jared Cook, Dan Arnold. So, I think I can play Jared Cook just about any week and feel pretty comfortable. I think Uzoma is obviously a great prospect. We don't see it consistently. There are things I like about him beyond, the 2 big games, right? I think Joe Burrow is clearly looking his way. I'd like a little more consistent threat. I'd like to see a little more consistent production from him, and I'd feel better about it. So I'm probably leaning Cook in this one. Wouldn't talk you out of Arnold either. I do like Dan Arnold. I must confess, to my own personal investment in his narrative. I would like to see him do well, but he seemed to be getting the targets, the last couple games. Then they've had a week to think about it and figure out how to better use him, and Seattle's a great matchup. Jared Cook for now, and wouldn't talk you out of Arnold. TD League with bonus over 100 yards. Sutton, Pittman Jr., or Devonta. Probably going Sutton on this one. Also, I like Pittman a lot every damn week, and it's a pretty good matchup, right? So that's a pretty close call for me. Let me see what the algorithm says. By that, I mean I'm checking the rankings at footballdiehards.com. You should do the same. It's a great website. You could go there every day. We have new stuff up constantly updated rankings that will help you make these kind of decisions. And I'm just going to see what that thinks. Pittman Jr. 20, Sutton 22. So the algorithm likes Pittman Jr. slightly better if that makes you feel better about it. If I had any concerns about Sutton, it would be Jerry Jeudy's return, and maybe that diminishes his targets, but maybe it opens things up, makes it a little harder to cover him. Either way, it's a great matchup for both Sutton and Pittman. Maybe you could just say, look, Pittman doesn't have the kind of competition for football as he's a big play threat down the field. We saw it even in the rain. So maybe the algorithm is right here. Maybe I will join it and say Pittman Jr. because of my crazy personal investment in Sutton speaking loudly. Pittman Jr. I'm invested in Pittman Jr. too. I have been a ton of best balls. I thought both these guys were reasonably priced coming into the season. And that's why I have lots of them. Devonta Smith, I don't have a lot of. I have some of. But just haven't seen the consistent high-end production from him. Maybe because we haven't seen the consistent high-end production of that offense in general. It mostly just goes all through Jalen Hurts, and a lot of that through his legs. Dominic Conti, need help at wide receiver and flex, full PPR. Boyd, Parker, David Johnson, Pollard, Tony, Alex Collins. That's a lot of people. Sit two of these. I'm an underdog this week. Man, it would be very helpful if you guys could, dial these in a little bit for me. I'm probably going to sit the questionable guys. I mean, to start out, so Kadarius Toney, you're not going to know until Monday night. And looking at this list, I can't tell if you have an easy pivot there, so I'm going to put that out. Alex Collins, questionable. I could play Booker. I know he's going to play on Monday night. I don't know if Parker's going to play. I know David Johnson's going to play. So, I'm probably going to play Johnson and hope for the best there. It's not a great offense and a horrible matchup. It's a tough call, man. Booker's probably your safest play on this whole board. If you're swinging for the fence, I go with the best offenses and go Boyd and probably Pollard. I just don't know what the role is. It's like an impossible question, Dominic. Honestly. I'm going to go with that. If Dax sits, should I bench? There was a Freudian slip. If Dax sits, should I bench Pollard for D. Robinson or Jay Gordon? I probably wouldn't. I'm probably not, I'm not eager to play either of those two Kansas City wide receivers. One of them might have a big game any given week. Trying to understand when that week is going to happen is absolutely impossible, right? You just don't know. There could be the Byron Pringle week, could be the Mecole Hardman week. You're never going to know. I'd like to see Josh Gordon get a little more involved and see what he could do. I think the Chiefs would too, just hasn't happened yet. So no, I'll probably still play Pollard of that bunch. Hi, Paul. 5.5 PPR, Seals Jones or Freiermuth. Seals Jones for me. I mean, his role has been intense. Freiermuth is gaining traction, and there is no Eric Ebron this week, and I don't think Eric Ebron's been a big problem either way, right? I think Freiermuth, just the train is leaving the station for him. He's heading out to greater things. We'll see, we'll see where that ends up with the next quarterback. But for right now, Ben Roethlisberger, he has Ben Roethlisberger's attentions. So I think he's a fine play, just not at the level yet that Seals Jones is, because he's been locked in. One of the things I like about Seals Jones is he's on the field like 99%, 100% of the snaps the last three games. So it's been very impressive. Pedro Resto has Atlanta defense on his team this week. The closer I get, the more I find myself questioning the move. Should I go with Philly, New Orleans, or Carolina instead? I'm fine going with I could pivot to Philly if you wanted to. I'm not, Sam Darnold has been sucking, right? I mean, so basically with defenses, what I'm doing is I'm picking on quarterbacks. I'm looking for teams with disruptive playmaking threats and going against lousy quarterbacks, because that's how you make plays and that's how you get points. There are other ways to make plays and get points, right? So I don't want to say that, but that's how, those are the things that tend to put a defense over the top any given week. So that's what I'd be looking for. I think you're fine picking on Sam Darnold. But if you didn't want to pick on Sam Darnold and you're convinced that's not the best one, Philly might be the best one. right? Because it's the Lions. I want to say about the Lions, they've been close, right? They've been like fairly close to, getting some wins. Been some tough games. Came out like gangbusters against the Rams. Kind of caught them on their heels, and I think you never know what's going to happen. So, but Jared Goff has been miserable with the turnovers, so that might be the guy to target. Not a great receiving corps, so maybe that's it. Better stash, point PPR, Gallup, Bateman, or TY. Probably for me, it's Bateman. I'd probably do that one. So I guess the thing is, all these guys are reasonable. TY's getting a little old, seems to be having a little trouble getting healthy. We saw him in one game, and I think he could have some good games for you. Can he do it consistently week in, week out at this point? I just don't know that I trust that. I like Bateman. I think so. Bateman is a little higher up the pecking order to me than Gallup will be, and Gallup will have big games too. It's going to be hard to predict them as well. So I'm going to go with Bateman on this one. DJ Sniper. I just lost your question. What do you think about Tyson Williams? Is he worth holding on to? These washed-up veterans are going to hold court for the Baltimore. I'm with you, DJ. I mean, when I watch these guys play, Tyson Williams looks like the guy with the juice. Maybe it's pass protection issues, and they have concerns that, he can't get it done. They seem to be more than satisfied to cobble this together with those veterans, though, piecing it together as they go along. And so, any given week, that's why we've seen Tyson Williams get the healthy scratch on occasion. And, talking to beat writers there, they kind of see the same thing that we see, right? They see a young, fresh-legged running back, and they are wondering why he's not in there. So there are obviously reasons beyond what I understand. And my guess is in the NFL, it almost always comes down to pass protection for running backs. If a running back is not playing as much as you think he should be playing, it's probably because he can't pass block. That's been the history of this. Because why? You pay quarterbacks hundreds of millions of dollars, and you don't want to get them killed. If I'm able to hold on to Tyson Williams, I have, just for the same reason you're thinking about it, right? I would love to hold on to him and think he's going to emerge down the stretch. What do we know? Every year, a running back nobody drafted is going to win us a title. If it was Tyson Williams this year, would it be a total shock? No, it's a run-heavy offense, and with a great passing component to it. And I mean, there's a lot to like here, except his playing time, not good. So yeah, two things here. Yes, hold on to him if you can. Two, if you're in a pinch and you need to, need the flexibility to add a piece that will contribute immediately, I would do that as well and let him go and hope I can get back. Is it too soon to start T.Y. Hilton? I'm planning on playing LaVisca, Javonte Williams, or T.Y. for a flex spot. 1 point PPR. I love his matchup. Don't know if he's going to play. He's questionable, right? Coming off the quad injury that sidelined him last week, Pedro. So, I don't need to play T.Y. this week. I'd probably be fine playing Javonte Williams. I'm a little disappointed. I think we're all a little disappointed in Laviska Shenault's season so far. It hasn't been what we expected. DJ Chark's injury moves him to the X receiver spot, so he's not working out of the slot and getting as heavily targeted now. I mean, we've seen some pretty slim pickings at points, and that's not great news. But, he's still an athletic playmaker. I'm still, again, what do we do here? We're chasing volume, right? And so for that, Javonte Williams getting his solid half every week, and keep waiting for the week where he gets more, right? I think that's another player where, man, the younger, fresher legs, when we see him run, he's so explosive and runs, with so much power, and you would like to see him get an entire game. And I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but I think his chances of that are better than the other two. Mark Stafford, do you like to avoid playing a Thursday player if you can? No, the Thursday games have turned out to be fantastic mostly this year, right? So the only reason not to play a guy in a Thursday night game is that if he comes up short, you have to live with it until the weekend and hope you can rectify it then, right? You have the buyer's remorse. I'm playing Thursday guys without reservation. In past season, the Thursday night games have been horrible, right? For the most part this year, they haven't been. The Thursday and Monday night games have been great. I've really enjoyed it. So yes, I'm playing those assets if I can. If I'm playing them, if I can, I'm not looking to avoid them. It's just a matter if they're the best players, they're in my lineups. Steve Lindor, pick two of these running backs. Swift, Mixon, Elliott, thanks. Swift and Elliott, for me, you don't have any wrong answers there. Unless one of them is not Swift. You got to play Swift. Beyond that, I mean, I have to play Elliott too, but would love to get Mixon in there. You don't have a flex, Steve? Come on, man. Has Jerry Jeudy been activated yet? Yahoo still shows him on IR. No, he has not been activated. That should happen sometime later today. I talked about it earlier in this chat here. It's Ask Me Anything session. He got some soreness in the ankle yesterday and didn't practice. He's practiced all week. They started working Tuesday because they had the Thursday game last week. He was medically cleared for that game in Cleveland, and they didn't feel he was quite ready. That leads to my concern this week. Are they going to feel like he's ready? But we will know at some point today. I think there's a 4 p.m. Eastern time deadline generally for these moves to happen. Unless it's a Monday night game, then they have until Monday to do it. Or a Thursday game, they have till the end of Thursday to do it. But on the Sunday games, all the moves come in by Saturday afternoon. So we'll know today, and you'll watch that. And as long as he's activated, I would expect him to play. But that's why he's not showing on Yahoo, because he is actually still on IR. That's why he's not on the injury report either. Scott Covey wants to know what the thoughts are on the Texas backfields. Is a 50-50 split between Johnson and Lindsey? I'm guessing no, at least not for now. So anyone who's been following along or read my stuff knows I'm heavily invested in Lindsey. I invested in him thinking he would be a late season commodity, that might come on. The Ingram trade thins the herd a little bit there, but I think for right now the plan is for David Johnson to be the primary piece. And if at some point Lindsey comes on, great. But I'm going with Johnson for now. That's Aaron Wilson from 790 Talk Radio. Been covering the Texans a while. That's his belief, too. He laid it out pretty well. I have an article about it on the website, footballdiehards.com. You should go there. It's a great website that you would truly enjoy. All kinds of great stuff there, including today, Casey Joyner's injury report / sit start, Brad Cruz's Sunday edition sit start, tons of DFS content. Jamie Calandro has a couple articles up, his DraftKings cash plays and his GPP tournament stacks. I have my DFS 3 and out. John Lobb has the DraftKings sheet of knowledge. Go to the Line of Scrimmage show tonight. His DFS cash lineup show. It's fantastic. He and Evil Campbell will do that tonight, every Saturday night, 7 p.m. Sometimes changes on Saturdays, depending on John's schedule. But tonight is 7 p.m. Eastern. Also catch our early Wednesday DFS lineup show with Jamie Calandro and Jason Brady. And then our pregame show on Sundays with Jason and Jamie as well. They go through the final lineup adjustments, rosters, and check their lineups and against ownership percentages and all that kind of stuff. So great stuff there. Go to thefootballdiehards.com. And also Justin Lunero's digging DFS craze. And then early in the week, if you get up on Monday and you go, man, I need to start thinking about the waiver wire, Joe Kalana has a great early look at injuries and waiver wire prospects. Then Evan Tarciano jumps in there on Tuesday with the waiver wire wizard. And then we have Matthew Sharon with the dollar store free agents too. So we've got all your bases covered. And if you're a commissioner or if you're interested in commissioning issues, Reginald James, HQ, Commish HQ is a great piece. He does a couple of those every week, and they're fantastic. Tons of good stuff. Gary Davenport's Shadow Knows and his IDP tip sheets, tons of rankings, live rankings. Go to the staff cheat sheet, and it's updated constantly to reflect the latest news, lets you know, has a one-stop shop with links to everything, so check that out. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel for more of this great content. Hit the notification bell if you can. And hit the like button so that people know you like me, because I like to be liked. I'm very insecure. Okay, maybe not. Also, you can listen to me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Monday nights 10, Thursday nights at 10, every other Tuesday on Fantasy Dirt with Michael Fabiano. And Saturdays, we do the Football Die Hard Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 5 to 7. Then we take an hour break. We jump over to NFL Radio, Channel 88, and do a 3-hour show. So 5 hours of diehards every day on SiriusXM. Then Sunday, I do the pregame show with Jeff Manns from 11 to 1. So check that out as well. Some great stuff. All right, back to the questions. What is in a 0.5 PPR flex spot, pick one, Tony, Pittman, Javonte Williams. I could play Pittman here. This is one of the things where the first law of flexology does not apply because Javonte Williams is not getting a true featured role. So if you're kind of a swing for the fence play for me would be Pittman. If you would need just a safe kind of a floor play, I would go with Williams. I would love to play Tony. I don't know if Tony's going to play, and you won't know that till Monday most likely, although Saturday's injury report will be out. If Kadarius Toney avoids injury designation today, if he's not a questionable, I might play him. Just give him a shot. Want to catch a little of that, right? It's been phenomenal, and this is not the worst matchup against the Chiefs. In fact, it's a phenomenal matchup against the Chiefs if he's playing. So would love to play him if he's going. Paul DeSantis, better flex this week. San Francisco, better defensive flex this week. San Francisco, I don't know. Minnesota, if there's no Dak Prescott, that'd be the direction I go. Otherwise, I'd probably play San Francisco. Last question for Steve Linder this week. Trick or treat, Steve. Time to go out and get the candy, right? Antonio Gibson or Javonte Williams in a PPR. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Again, everybody, the goal here is not for me to tell you what to do. It's for me to talk you through your issues and kind of make sure you understand all the variables involved. And, I'm telling you what I would do, but I'm not telling you what to do. Does that make sense? And so on this one, I'm probably playing, so two running backs in a similar tier, a couple of, basically, I'm probably, Gibson's on a higher tier if it's all working for him. I really liked what Cleveland was able to do against Denver last week, right? I mean, they ran the ball pretty handily to Dearness Johnson. So I'm probably leaning Antonio Gibson here and hoping he holds up. But that's the thing. You're hoping he holds up, right? And anytime I'm saying that, I'm asking myself, why am I playing hope? It's not a good strategy. Also, though, maybe because with Javonte Williams, you're hoping, he gets that touchdown because he's not getting the full role. So there's that. So it's a pretty close call for me. I'm probably leaning Gibson here. And good luck, Steve. Pedro held on to Gainwell for 6 weeks and dropped him just week 6 to handcuff Harris with Ramondre Stevenson. The week Sanders got hurt. Walk me off the ledge, man. There's no talking you off the ledge. You wish you had Gainwell right now and not Ramondre Stevenson. By the way, the Ramondre Stevenson thing, he was a healthy scratch last week. It sounds like they're going to do a weekly competition between him and J.J. Taylor, and you're not going to know the answer to that until the inactive announcement on Sunday. There are going to be weeks where it's, okay, so we got some Giants injury news just to so I know we've been waiting for it. Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard are questionable. Saquon Barkley out. Kenny Golladay out. So now we know Toney is going to be questionable for this game. So it makes it hard, right? I mean, unless you have a good pivot, that's going to be an issue there. So there we have that. Okay, so the Gainwell. So yes, I'm sorry, Pedro. There's no talking off the ledge. You're going to wish you had Gainwell pretty much every single week at this point. Because I don't even know if I do think Stevenson would be the handcuff, like if something were to happen. But man, Brandon Bolden's in the mix there, and J.J. Taylor has been kind of a mess, much like New England's backfield often is. The one thing you can count on, though, is Harris. So you got that going for you. Brandon Cooks or Keenan Allen. I'm playing Keenan Allen, please. Look, Keenan Allen's on pace for 110 catches, everybody. I know everyone's paying attention to Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's still very good. Playing that mostly because, look, I love Brandon Cooks. Just don't love the offense with Davis Mills at the helm. I mentioned it earlier. They've scored like 38, 39 points in the 5 games Davis Mills has started. He's had one good game. I don't expect another one this week. Have I heard any updated news on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? So it's been what? It's been. I missed the question. Sorry, Claypool or Landry? I'm honestly, I want to say Claypool in this case. Just right. I mean, Landry is serviceable. I think you could play him. I think there's a reasonable floor. I just think this is a run-heavy team. I'm gonna go with Claypool on this one and hope I get a big play. The updated news on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No, I have not. I think he's eligible to come off IR after this game. He has to miss 3 games. So I'm guessing we'll start hearing some things next week, whether they open the window or designate him to return. That can't happen until next week. And it doesn't have to happen, right? So that's we've seen with Michael Thomas, the window, he's the pup window's open. He can come back at some point. They still say he's a couple weeks away. So maybe we see that with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I have not heard, Scott, nobody said a word about him that I've seen. M. Taryn, a massive underdog this week. A bigger upside, PPR flex, Moss or Carter. I want to say Moss, and I mean in a PPR, I think Carter is kind of a floor play in PPR this week, right? You think he's going to get peppered with short, checkdowns from Mike White, making his making his starting debut. I just can't see. I can't see the big game for Carter. I could see a big game for Moss going against a Miami defense that's pretty generous to running backs. I could also see a lousy game for Moss, but I think the upside is there. Did I see Christian Kirk getting more targets as AJ Green's expense going forward? No, I think they're going to keep spreading the ball around. I mean, that's been the one constant for this offense in Arizona. Is it's hard to, and the target share has been pretty well distributed. And I mean, maybe you're saying, oh, that last play AJ Green screwed up. He did. I don't know that shifts the target outlook going forward. And I think any given week, you're going to see guys that kind of spike up that you didn't expect. But I think it's going to change week to week. This seems to be, it's kind of like, how you would view like Dallas. There are a handful of teams where it's truly a democratic process at wide receiver, right? The open guy is getting the football no matter what. And no matter what the name on his jersey is or what his paycheck is or any of those things. So I think that's going to continue in Arizona. Darrell Williams or Mitchell. I'm probably leaning Mitchell in this one. I just think the role has been good, and the Colts, we saw against the Colts. I mean, he's getting the dominant role. So I'm going to keep playing that in that offense in San Francisco, and the Bears aren't that daunting a team. Hi, Graham. You're welcome. Can I drop Rondale Moore? Sure. Absolutely. And so Moore is one of those guys. There are going to be weeks where he spikes up and you get a little more out of him than you expect, but predicting which weeks that's going to happen is going to be near impossible, right? I don't think you're going to see anyone there get, the role, get a role that's like predictable weekly high end, the high end production. I think you're going to get reasonable production from the guys above him. DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, I think, are going to have reasonable floors. I think Moore's floor on any week could be lower, but the ceiling could be huge because he's a great playmaking threat. Dallas for week 9. Yeah, I mean, if you need to move on and pick up a defense or whatever, I could do that. Tyson Williams, again, I like him. I don't know how much the Ravens like him. That's the only problem for me. So we see things as fantasy managers that, we question. Little Dak Prescott news. Game time decision for Dak. So we were kind of hoping that we get, some resolution maybe today before the trip that he wasn't going to make the trip or something. We're not going to get that resolution. So a lot of news happening while I'm doing this and not writing. That makes me nervous, people. I should be writing the news. Let's see. Would I play Tony over Parker? Assuming Parker plays. Well, I mean, if I knew Tony was playing, yes. I mean, you have two questionable guys. So it's going to be if you could pivot to Slayton, I think that's worth it because I don't know what I'm expecting from Parker. It's a super tough matchup. Bill's secondary is very tough. They're tough in general. So yeah, if you have that opportunity, I would do that. That's the kind of setup I'm looking for. I don't know if Osborne's the better play of all of them. He's not a bad play. And if you have Cousins at quarterback, I mean, I think that's not an unreasonable play. So yeah, maybe. I would like to. Now that Tony, so Tony's questionable, and he's been working on a limited basis. I kind of have a little bit of a good feeling about him. And if I had a Slayton as an option, and none of these other guys are playing, there's no Galloway. Shepard's questionable. I think he'll play, but I would do that. That seems like a good situation. Needs one. Does Martin, Schneller, Jacoby Myers, Khalil Herbert, or Sterling Shepard? I'm playing Khalil Herbert in this one. Again, chasing volume. Always chase the volume. I do that a lot. And so should you. Bradley Madison, with a Dak or game time decision, would you pick up and play Wentz, Winston, or Bridgewater? Or should I wait, and if he doesn't go, pick up Daniel Jones? I'm doing the Daniel Jones thing. I think that's a great option. I think they're not going to play Dak unless they think he can make it through the game. He gives you all that Dak upside if he's playing. So I want that if I can get it. So, yeah, I think Daniel Jones is a fine pivot. I like all those other guys. I think Wentz would be the one I would go with if that's the route you want to take. But Bridgewater's been solid and has a super great matchup as well. Both those guys, Wentz and Bridgewater, have the matchups I'd like to take advantage of. What is my favorite holiday? What are the holidays not during football season? I don't know. I can't think of them. My fiance's birthday. That's it. That's all there is. This year I'll celebrate by taking her to a Tool concert. Yes! Everybody wins, right? Flex Marvin Jones or Antonio Gibson at 0.5 PPR. Great matchup for Marvin Jones. I get it. I'm probably still playing Gibson in this one. Again, I'm taking some comfort in the fact that, the Cleveland Browns and Dearness Johnson ran through Denver's defense like a hot knife through butter. Blitz! Thank you, DJ Sniper. Don't ask how we are. Dempsey will hang up on you. Can't sit Henry, but I do have to sit James Robinson or Damian Harris, standard league. Which would you do? I'd sit Damian Harris if you made me sit one. That's a tough call, right? Don't you hate that when you have a luxury that excess of talent? You have to make these hard decisions. That would be the one for me. Gaskin or Michael Carter PPR? Probably Scott. I'm going with Gaskin. Wouldn't talk you out. Carter is my hunch guy this week. He's one of my dart tosses in my DFS 3 and out column, right? I don't expect high end production, but I think you can catch lightning in a bottle. I think Gaskin's probably the safer play. So this is kind of on you as to what you want, right? But that's how I see them. Whale, Tony, Sanders, Pittman, Chuba, pick one. I pick Chuba if you made me pick one because I'm chasing volume. You might have heard this somewhere before. And I think the production has been reasonable enough. It hasn't been super high end, but I want that high floor. If you're looking for a nice ceiling, I think Pittman has that in this matchup. I'd love to play Tony, but again, you have these other choices, and he is questionable for Monday Night Football. If you held me down and slapped me around, I'd tell you I think he's going to play, but I don't know that. So that's how it is. How would I rather have on my bench the rest of the season, Rondale or Ty? I'm all in on the old guys. I wonder why that would be. I'd go Ty. So the problem is for Rondale, as I outlined before. I mean, he's the fourth, man in the pecking order at this point, and I think he's going to be great. I think there's going to be weeks where you love having him. I don't know if that's going to be every week. I don't know if Ty is going to be every week. I think it might be more weeks. Even if Dak does play, do you see a little more emphasis on the run game behind based on Dak's calf? I mean, that is a logical, assumption to make, Scott. But I think if he's playing, I don't think they're playing him because they're playing it safe. I think if they're playing it safe, they just hold him out, right? And I hope the yard guys aren't too loud for you guys. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I wouldn't, if we're splitting hairs, yes. Like if you're deciding between Ezekiel Elliott and another top 10 running back, sure, that'd be a hair splitter for me there. Or for the receivers, right? Or, for the Cowboys receivers. If you're like, okay, I have two guys that are really close. Am I picking CeeDee Lamb or this other guy? Then sure, I would, that would be a logical approach. Silly side question, any relation to Dan at Fantasy Pros? I am not any relation to Dan at Fantasy Pros. Although Dan Fantasy Pros is great. Eli Mitchell or Gibson? I could play Eli Mitchell, DJ. Just feel like it's a safe play. Just feel like the role is his, and it's the Bears that are not an especially daunting matchup. You're welcome, Tara. You're welcome. Who are your waiver wire pickups this week? I don't know. I haven't looked and seen if I got them all yet. I'll let you know. Catch me off guard always with questions, Scott, that I'm just not prepared for. Justin Herbert or Stafford, we have deep benches. I think I answered this one earlier. I'm leaning Stafford. I think we rank him fourth on our staff rankings, and Herbert is like 6 or 7. There is not a wrong answer. I'm going Stafford given the matchup and the number of weapons he has. Bob, pick one. El Patron, Sadie's, or El Pinto. So I moved away from Albuquerque, so I'm not there anymore. But if I went there to visit, it would probably be Sadie's because that's kind of like the institution, right? But I don't know that it's the best of those. It's just the institution. Eddie Roach, pick 2. Booker, Keenan Allen, Woods, non-PPR, standard. Keenan Allen would be 1. I might go Booker over Woods. I know it's a great matchup, but, Cooper Kupp is just being dominant there. So there you have it. Thank you. Catch you later today on Sirius as well. Appreciate you coming by, a young rookie. Gibson, Khalil Herbert, or Carter need one. Khalil Herbert there for me. Just chasing the workload, and it's certain. And Gibson, I like him fine. I think it's a great matchup. Also think he has a hairline fracture in his shin, and sometimes somebody kicks him in the shin, and it hurts really bad when that happens. For him, not me. Well, for me also if I played him. Would you be comfortable playing Seattle defense versus Jacksonville this week? Also available Cleveland versus Pittsburgh, LA Chargers versus New England. I could play LA versus New England if you made me. I'm not really comfortable playing the Seattle defense any week, but if I was, it'd be against Jacksonville. Jacoby Myers, Robbie Anderson, Jacoby Myers, Dennis. One last question. Any update on McCaffrey and his return? No, there has been no update on his return yet. So we'll be waiting. Eligible week. What is this week? He's eligible next week, I believe, to return, or they can start bringing him back. So we'll start hearing things about that next week for sure. 1 point PPR flex, Michael Pittman or Moss, Buffalo. Kind of what you're after here if you're looking for a floor. I think it's Moss against Miami. It's a great matchup, but he's also splitting time, and also Josh Allen's a great goal line back. So there's a lot not to like, and there's a lot to like about Michael Pittman, not the least of which was the last thing we saw was him dominating San Francisco in the pouring rain. I think the thing about Pittman that's easy to overlook, I have an article about it on footballdiehards.com. Carson Wentz is playing better, everybody. This just in. Pedro Resto, I'm sitting CeeDee Lamb and playing Jerry Jeudy, 1 point PPR in another league due to next week. Thoughts? I'd make sure Jerry Jeudy is activated. That would be what I'd do. So make sure he's activated. If that's, if he is, I'm okay with it. And especially if you don't know if Dak's playing for sure. So, JM, please pick 2. Sutton, Hawkinson, Ridley, Devontae Smith. Sutton, probably Sutton and Ridley. Wouldn't talk you out of Sutton and Hawkinson. Bengals let's see. The Steelers D against Cleveland. Could they get a beat up Baker? It's entirely possible. This is a tough call. I'm probably going to play. The Bengals against the Jets seems like so easy. I'm probably going with that one. Yeah, it's hard to trust Anderson at this point, Dennis. That's no doubt. Last question, follow up on playing LAC defense. Are you still comfortable playing them if Eckler sits? Yes, I'm comfortable playing them. So I'm playing the defense based on the fact that Mac Jones is a rookie quarterback and might make some mistakes, right? And there's some pass rushing equity there in LA, so that's fine. So yeah, it doesn't matter on Eckler, and I'm hoping he plays, right? We all are. PPR start 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one of these guys has to sit. Oh, that's a ridiculous question. Honestly, I would go to my rankings and I would look for the lowest ranked guys. You can do that at Football Diehards as well. It's an impossible question, honestly. You need to trade some of those guys. That's the answer to that question. All right, looks like we've run out of questions. Sorry, I'm not trying to bail on you. That's impossible. Who are you drafting with, young man? What's going on in that league? That is an impossible question. Trying to think about the matchups, and it's ridiculous even thinking about the matchups. All these guys are guys you're playing. They're all in the top 5 at their position, for crying out loud. So find a way to play them all. Who would I sit if I had to? Deebo Samuel, but I don't have to, so you should not listen to me. You could say Chubb coming off injury, I guess, if you wanted to go that far, but it'd be Samuel because all those other running backs, there's no way I'm sitting them, and there's no way I'm sitting Jamar Chase. So, that's horrible, man. That's a rough weekly decision for you. Last question: Hawkinson or Gesicki? I'd probably play Gesicki. I moved to Dallas, Texas. Right? That's crazy. I'm wondering about this draft as well. All right, everybody. I need to go write some news. Things have been happening. You need to go to footballdiehards.com and check out the news I'm about to write and all the other news I've written and all the other great stuff we have at the site, including Casey Joyner's Saturday update on his injury report / sit start. Brad Cruz's sit start Sunday edition, one of the best high-stake players in the land, who's not named Scott Cowie, one of the also great high-stake players in the land. Do you think Swiss groin will be a problem? I think he's had the same issue since August, and it hasn't been a problem yet. Cousins are Hurts the rest of the year. I mean, I'm playing Hurts until I can't, so it's Hurts. I mean, he's 20 points a week. It's hard to stop that. So, all right, everybody, I got to get out of here and write news. Anyway, trick or treat, give out candy, do whatever you do. Have a great, successful week of football. And go to the website, footballdiehards.com. Great content. Listen to me on the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio and SiriusXM NFL Radio. I'll be on both today. 5 hours. You can't miss me. Horrifying as that is. And I wore my scariest costume for you all. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Go to footballdiehards.com. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Use the promo code Diehards and get a 15% discount. Thank you all very much. No, I don't think Taylor will have trouble. Taylor against Indy? No, Taylor plays for Indy. He's going against Tennessee. All right, Mike. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.